You know that coffee you're drinking? The one from Ethiopia? Or, hey, that smartphone in your hand? Maybe from South Korea? How does it actually get to you? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It's this incredible, invisible network of rules and codes that, honestly, keeps our whole world running. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and decode that network.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Your phone, your car, the clothes you're wearing, none of this stuff just appeared out of thin air. It all went on this epic globe-trotting journey. It's like this massive, complicated dance with millions of partners. So what stops the whole thing from turning into absolute chaos?
Well, it turns out there's this kind of hidden architecture, a secret set of rules, passes, and codes. Think of it like a universal language for trade that keeps trillions, trillions of dollars worth of stuff moving smoothly across the planet. This is the system that literally makes our global economy possible.
All right, so to really get our heads around this giant network, we need to start with the big questions, the kind of fundamental questions that have to be answered for every single thing that gets shipped internationally. You know, at its core, global trade is this constant balancing act. On one side, you've got all this complexity, different countries, different rules, different languages, and on the other, you need perfect coordination. You have to answer these really crucial questions, right? Like, who pays if a container falls off a ship? Seriously, who's responsible for what? How do we even get it across the border without it taking 6 months? And what's actually in the box? The entire system we're talking about today is designed to answer these exact questions. So where do we start? Well, every journey begins with a first step, right? And in trade, that first step is the deal between the buyer and the seller. And believe it or not, there's an official rule book for that. They're called Incoterms, and they are basically the bedrock of all global trade. It's just a set of 11 universal rules, these little 3-letter codes that clarify everything up front. They answer the 2 most important questions you can ask. Who's paying for what? And maybe more importantly, who's on the hook? Who bears the risk if that shipment gets lost or damaged?
Okay, now don't try to memorize this chart. That's not the point. The point is to just show you how complex this journey is. From the seller's factory, to the port, on the ship, through customs, all the way to the buyer's warehouse. There are a ton of places where things can go wrong. What Incoterms do is create a standard language so everyone agrees, before the journey even begins, who's responsible for each and every step.
The easiest way to think about it is like a slider for responsibility. Let's look at the 2 extremes. On one end, you've got EXW, or X works. Basically, the seller just has to get the stuff ready at their warehouse, and that's it. Their job is done. The buyer has to handle everything else, the shipping, the insurance, the whole shebang. Then on the complete other end of the slider, you have DDP, Delivered Duty Paid. Here, the seller is responsible for pretty much everything, right up until it lands on the buyer's doorstep. All the other 9 roles, they just set that slider somewhere in the middle. Okay, so the buyer and seller have a deal. They've picked their Incoterm. Awesome. Now the product actually has to cross a border. And this used to be a massive headache. But over time, countries have figured out ways to create a sort of global express lane to speed things up. And these express lanes get built by countries agreeing to work more closely together. It's kind of like leveling up. You start at step 1 with a free trade area. Think USMCA, where you get rid of taxes or tariffs on each other's goods. Then you can level up to a customs union, then a common market, and all the way to the final boss, an economic union, like the EU. Each step you take removes more and more friction and makes trade flow faster and cheaper. But there's another type of express lane, and this one's for individual companies. Think of it like a fast pass or TSA pre-check, but for cargo. Programs like C-TPAT in the US or PIP in Canada let companies who have a great track record for security become trusted traders. This means customs can basically wave their stuff through, which is great for them, and it lets the border agents focus their time and energy on shipments that are higher risk. All right, so our package is at the border, it's in the express lane, things are moving smoothly. But the customs agent still needs to know one super critical thing. What is actually in the box? I mean, what if every single customs agent in the world spoke the same language when it came to products? Just imagine the chaos if they didn't, right? If every country had a different name for leather sofa, a shipment could get stuck for weeks just because of a simple translation issue. It would be a nightmare. We needed a universal system, like a global dictionary for products. And that is exactly what the Harmonized System, or HS code, is. And honestly, it's genius. It works like an inverted pyramid, getting more specific as you go down. So you start at the very top with something super broad, a whole chapter like vegetable products. Then you go a level down to a heading, cereals. Then another level down to rice. And you keep going until you get to a super specific subheading for, say, a certain type of milled rice. Simple, right? And here's the really brilliant part. The first 6 digits of that code are universal. They mean the exact same thing in over 200 countries. So a customs agent in Japan and an agent in Brazil look at that 6-digit number, and they both know precisely what product it is. After that, countries can add their own digits for their own needs, like for collecting taxes or data. So for this leather sofa, you can see how it builds out. It's this amazing system that's both totally universal and totally flexible. Okay, so Incoterms, trade agreements, HS codes. I know, it can all sound a little abstract, a little in the weeds. But this is the part where we talk about why any of this actually matters to you. You know, this quote from Benjamin Franklin really nails it. No nation was ever ruined by trade. At the end of the day, all these complicated systems we've been talking about exist for one simple reason: to make trade happen. And trade? Well, trade has been one of the most powerful engines for prosperity the world has ever known. Just think about this number for a second. More than 200 countries and economies, they all agreed to use this one system. I mean, getting 200 countries to agree on what to have for lunch is basically impossible. So this represents an absolutely astonishing level of global cooperation, all just so we can have one common language for the things we buy and sell. And here's the real bottom line for you. Every single time this invisible network gets a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, it lowers costs. And the savings, they eventually make their way to you. It affects the price you pay for groceries, whether or not that new phone is in stock, and just the incredible variety of stuff you can buy every single day. This network is quietly shaping your world all the time.
And that brings us to a final, really big question. All these systems we've talked about, the Incoterms, the HS codes, they were built for a physical world, a world of shipping containers and cardboard boxes. But today, so much of what we trade is digital, right? It's software, it's data, it's streaming movies. So the big question we have to ask ourselves now is, what new rules, what new invisible network are we going to need for that world?